So I think I need to start this video by first apologising for how I looked in my previous video. And honestly, I promise there's nothing wrong with me, I just filmed it just when I woke up in the morning. So yeah, if you thought I looked a bit different or looked a bit ill, that's why, there's nothing wrong with me. And now with that out of the way, what can the Dallas Mavericks do this season? And if you wouldn't mind liking the video, that really does help me out a lot, so yes, please do that. And I'm actually going to start this video talking about Mark Cuban, who is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And honestly, I just think he's a really great owner. I think he knows what to do with the franchise, and I think he really has his heart set on keeping Luka Doncic there. And Mark Cuban has said many times now how valuable Luka Doncic is to the Mavericks, and he's even gone as far as saying that he would rather keep Luka on the Mavericks than stay with his wife. And I'm going to throw his quote up right about now, and obviously I do think he's joking, but there's a little part of me that thinks he's actually telling the truth. But anyway, let's talk about Luka Doncic, as he is the heart and soul of this Dallas Mavericks team. Even though he's only been in the NBA for 2 full seasons, he's already secured himself as a top 5 player in the league. Last year he had a 29-9-9 season, which speaks for itself. But to truly appreciate Luka, you have to watch him play, as no one makes the game of basketball look as easy as he does. He's not very fast or very athletic, but he's one of the most unguardable players in the NBA, and probably my favourite player to watch, as he makes everything look so damn easy. The Mavericks are sure set for the future with Luka, but even with this season, I think he makes them a serious team in the West. And honestly, I could make a video just talking about Luka Doncic, but there's more players that I need to talk about. We know how great Luka is, and that he'll improve even more this season. It's just what the rest of the team can do. Now I'm going to move on to Kristaps Porzingis, and I know he's only played 1 game so far this season, but he is the second best player on the team. Let's not beat around the bush here. The main problem with Porzingis is whether he can stay healthy, as he has had a lot of injuries throughout his career. His first game back was 2 nights ago though, and I do believe the Mavericks plan to start him every game now. And in his first game back, he had a great game. He only played 21 minutes, but had 16 points, 2 blocks, 0 turnovers, and shot 4 of 9 from 3. If he can keep healthy and keep putting up stat lines like this, the Mavericks will be very pleased with him and he'll have a great overall impact on the team. Then their starting shooting guard is Tim Hardaway Jr., and he's playing exactly like he needs to. He's shooting 9 threes a game, and so far this season at a very efficient 42%, which is a career high for him. With about 60% of his points coming from behind the arc, this is by far his biggest strength, and shooters like Hardaway are always valuable in today's NBA. The only thing that surprised me about Hardaway though is how low his free throw percentage is. Because if you're shooting 42% from 3 with 9 attempts per game, what do you expect his free throw percentage to be like? Maybe 80% or possibly even 90%? Well, so far this season he's shooting at 64% from the free throw line. But obviously it is still fairly early on, and I do expect him to get this back up to around his career average, which is 81%. Moving on to Josh Richardson, he's having a good season too. 13.8 points a night, but he's not shooting as well as usual from 3 at 32%. But he is just a role player and plays as such. By far the Mavericks' weakest position though is their centre position. They either start Dwight Powell or Willie Cauley-Stein as their centre. And no disrespect to either of these guys, as they are both great players and they've made it to the NBA. But they really are just average or even below average centres in the league. Both of their skill sets are pretty limited, and they have virtually no 3-point game or mid-range shot. So essentially they are just traditional centres, which there's nothing wrong with that, but then it really does limit the impact that they can have on the Mavericks team. So those are the main Mavericks players covered, and now for the fun part. Where do I predict the Mavericks to finish in the regular season, and then how far will they get in the playoffs? And starting with their floor for the regular season, they are one of the strongest teams in the West, but I could still see them slipping quite low down. And now this is quite a low down prediction, but I could see them slipping as low of the 6th seed. Now this does sound very low down for the Mavericks, but then if you think that the Lakers, Clippers, Blazers, Nuggets and Suns could all finish above them, then it sounds far more realistic. And then the Warriors and Utah Jazz are both very strong teams too, and although I don't think they'll finish above them, I think they'll definitely both be playoff teams too. And I just think that when this season finishes, the Lakers will be easily the number 1 seed, but then from seeds 2 to 9, I think it'll be very close in terms of their win percentage. And then with there only being 72 games this season, which is obviously 10 games less than the usual 82, it gives more opportunity for the team's win percentage to be closer together. And then so I just think from the seeds 2 to around 9, the win percentages will be very close and there really won't be much in it. And this is just because I believe a lot of the teams in this area are very similar in terms of their level. But now back to the Mavericks, I could see them finishing very high in the West too. Obviously the Lakers will finish above them, and then I do think either the Clippers or the Nuggets will take the number 2 seed from them. So then with that being said, I believe their ceiling is the 3rd seed in the West. But as an honest prediction where I think they'll finish, I'm going to say the 4th seed. And then for the playoffs, I think they could have a really nice little run too. Although last year they did go out in the first round, it was to the Clippers, and there's no shame in that really. Although last year they did go out in the first round to the Clippers, I'm fairly positive they'll get out of the first round this year. Like I said, that 2-9 seeding will be very close, but in a 7-game series, I'd fancy the Mavericks' chances against most of those teams. And then this may be a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to put their ceiling as reaching the Western Conference Finals. And they will probably face the Lakers here and likely lose, but even if they reach that, that's an incredible achievement for the Mavericks. And then for their playoff floor, I've already said they're definitely getting out of the first round, so it has to be the second round. But honestly, I'm happy putting their floor at the second round, and this is honestly where I think they'll go out in the playoffs. And I know I've already asked you to like the video, but it really does help me out so much, so if you've got to the end and enjoyed this, please like the video for me. And then if you've enjoyed and want to see more from me, you can always subscribe, and I have quite a lot of videos which are very similar to this. And then as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.